Hello again, and welcome back to Marketing with Purpose. I'm Monica Pitts, and if you missed our last episode, I did a deep dive workshop on how to write website copy with AI. Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of that editing with AI around here. Um, but if you don't have some real intelligence with your artificial intelligence, pretty much everything's going to suck. So if you're trying to write copy with AI, hop back over and listen to that episode. But today is actually really special because we are celebrating MayeCreate's 20th birthday.
Whoop,
And
whoop,
instead of
20
just
years.
talking at you, I got the whole team here to share the biggest lessons that they've learned along these last 20 years. So, over the past 20 years, we've had six MayeCreate babies born. Yeah. Everybody give a heck yeah if you had a baby born.
Heck
Heck yeah.
yeah. Whoop.
Do I count as one of the babies?
You were our love child, Rebecca. So, yes. We've had five different office locations, and that's not counting Tyler and Rebecca's virtual office locations or all of the non-Missouri employees that we mistakenly hired.
Never
If
again.
you ever want to, never again. If you ever want to talk about that, ask Stacy. She'll definitely tell you to stay in your home state.
Give me a couple of drinks and we'll have a real good conversation or rant session. I don't know, one or the other.
And we have survived building 38 to 45 websites a year, a solar eclipse, Halloween costume cold calls, and ChatGPT joining the team. I think we've seen a lot, right? And it's taught us quite a few things, like why getting uncomfortable is your secret weapon for growth, and how trusting your team changes everything, and why solid processes are not actually optional. And we'll also talk today about working smarter, not harder, which is one of our MayeCreate core values that we talk about every MayeCreate day. Being authentically you instead of being perfect, and celebrating the journey along the way. So these hard-won lessons, they took us 20 years to figure out, but today you get to hear them straight from the people who lived them. So I'm going to pull in the train and introduce them all, and then we can get to business. You're on a mission, and you just need more people to know about it. And whether you're brand new to marketing or a seasoned pro, we are all looking for answers to make marketing decisions with purpose. I'm Monica Pitts, a techie, crafty business owner, mom, and aerial dancer who solves communication challenges through technology. This podcast is all about digging in and going digital. I'll share my marketing know-how and business experience from almost 20 years of misadventures. I'll be your backup dancer, so you can stop doubting and get moving towards marketing with purpose. So here's the thing. When MayeCreate started in 2005, most of the people on our team, excluding myself, weren't anywhere near part of the story yet. They were doing something completely different. And some of them weren't even on this plane of existence yet, which is kind of fun to think of, right? But some have definitely stuck with MayeCreate for the long haul. So I wanted to go around and have everyone introduce themselves and tell you how long they've been with MayeCreate and where they were when I first started on this crazy journey. So I started MayeCreate when I was 25. I was dating this crazy guy named Mike, who's now my husband, who was continually trying to convince me that I was his girlfriend, and I was refusing. I spent a lot of time drunk on the river, and I really, really hated my job, which is what spurred me to start MayeCreate. And then Stacy came in next.
So I was 18 years old 20 years ago. And I was, in that summer between high school and college, living my best summer life. I was showing cattle, doing a lot of back roading. So while Monica was on the river, I was on a random back road in Northeast Missouri. And then I started MayeCreate in February of 2011. Actually, Valentine's Day of 2011.
And I'm Kara. I have been with the company for 5 years now. And in '05, I was graduating high school. I was also 18, although I did not know Stacy yet. And I was also transitioning to college, but I was in Tennessee, in the Nashville area, and just living my best life, hanging out with friends and doing all the things that an 18-year-old does the summer between graduation and college and was looking forward to college in East Tennessee.
And I'm Tyler. I was a little bit younger. 20 years ago, I was 15, a sophomore in high school. I was I had basically all my time was either in the wrestling room, the art room, or the band room. That's basically all I was doing. And if I wasn't doing that, I was at scout camp or I was playing guitar. So like that was the entirety of my time. It was music or art or throwing people around. That was about it. So, but I've been with MayeCreate since July 9th of 2012. So I'm going on 13 years now, which is a wild statement, but it's been fun. It's a good time.
Hey, I'm Rebecca. 20 years ago, I was 11. I was a literal child. And unfortunately or fortunately, I have not changed very much. I'm the same height. I have the same stuffed animals on my bed, and I have the same bedtime. Monica and Stacy took a big risk, or not a big risk. I'm still here. In hiring me in November of 2015. I found the evidence of my actual start date. So I've been with MayeCreate for 9 years and 9 months.
She holds the award of most awkward interview. I walked out of the interview and I said, that was so fabulous and awkward that we are hiring this girl. And Stacy was like, sounds good. And she's been with us ever since.
Well, welcome to MayeCreate culture.
What's super funny is she started as an intern and then she became our secret full-time employee. And then she became a real full-time employee and she's been here forever.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Andrea. Back in 2005, I was landing somewhere between Stacy and Kara and Tyler in my junior year of high school, doing all the high school things. I was all about my friends and the latest and greatest movies going on and, what I was wearing and all those things, all the high school things. I've been with MayeCreate now almost a year, coming up in September. So loving every bit of it.
All right, and I am Caitlin. I have been with MayeCreate for a year and a half, almost exactly. And back in 2005, when MayeCreate was started, I was 12 years old, so I was a really cool middle schooler. I loved online shopping. Shout out to Hollister and American Eagle. They sponsored all of my clothes for school. And then I was all about watching music videos round the clock on VH1, recording them onto a VHS. So I had a playlist for later. And then creating mixed CDs. I would do it for all my friends. If anybody remembers LimeWire and BearShare. All right, and I'll pass it off to someone who definitely does not remember LimeWire and BearShare.
Hi, everybody. I'm Claire. I've been at MayeCreate for just a little bit over a year now. And 20 years ago, I was freshly 1 years old, still running around in a diaper, terrorizing my sister and other kids at daycare, and probably telling my mom and dad no. So,
All right, I'm Brittany. I am the newest May creator. I've been here officially 2 months. And in 2005, when MayeCreate was started, I was a 9-year-old who loved school, loved learning everything that I could, living in a small town that I live in today, Centralia. And I was super into 4-H, so working with our animals and trying all the new projects, trying my hand at all things like sewing and cooking and all the things. So, yeah.
Okay, so now that you know who you're hearing from, I want to get to the good stuff because we promised you that we would share our lessons learned. So, our first lesson learned is probably the hardest one to hear, but it's absolutely essential. You need to get uncomfortable because that's where growth happens.
Talking about being uncomfortable, I am one of the most anxious May creators you probably have on the team. And the biggest lesson I've learned since being here is that there is nothing that is impossible, just things you haven't learned how to do yet. We had a meme post recently, and mine was, "Don't worry, I just need to panic. I can probably do this." Don't worry. So, I mean, how do you handle things? Yeah.
How we handle things. If we haven't done it before, we'll figure it out. It's fine.
Well, and Rebecca actually handles most of our emergencies too, surprisingly enough.
True.
I enjoy it a lot.
If we are going to change something for Rebecca, we often let her know, like when we very first made the decision, but we're not anywhere near implementing yet.
The
Give
forewarning.
her a heads up.
So then my lesson is whatever you're doing, lean into it fully. Don't half-ass anything. Just full out when you can full ass something. Like if you're gonna do something, put everything into it. And that has carried through a lot of things. But like when I started wrestling, I was not good, like everyone when I start wrestling. But if you become a little bit obsessed about things and you do it all the time, eventually you're gonna get good at something. So, like I mentioned 20 years ago, I was 15, I just started playing guitar. When I say that when I wasn't doing the other things, I was playing guitar, I mean that I wasn't sleeping. I just was constantly doing the thing. And it if you carry that through the rest of the things in your life, you get good at things. That's just how it works. If you put more time into things, you get good at them. So if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it.
So for me, it took me a long time to learn this one, but don't listen to them, whoever they are, those theyers. Listen to your gut. So listen to yourself. And especially when I started MayeCreate in 2005, like you weren't allowed to wear a nose ring to an interview, let alone have a tattoo that showed. Right. And then all the men stood up on stage and they were like, you need to grow your business fast. You need to work more hours. You don't need to sleep. You need to do all these things. And I was like, oh, that sounds like horrible. And you know what? I tried that for quite a few years until I had kids. And then I was like, yeah, this really doesn't work for me. And there were many years where Stacy and I were like, grow or not grow. And we'd be like, not grow, not grow this year. We just want to maintain. We just want to get through this year so that way we can live next year happier. And so we don't need to listen to them. You can do it your own way, and your own way is perfectly fine if your gut says it's fine. Now, if your gut is exploding, that after a few days, it's probably not the right way. But if your tummy hurts a little bit, you're probably doing it right.
Bucking the system makes you feel uncomfortable, but usually that's where the growth comes. So,
Yeah.
a lot of times we've ignored society, what they say we should do.
Thank God.
I do that a lot, actually. It's sorry. It like on that note of ignoring what people say you should do, people think it's wild when I tell them we work 4-day work weeks. I'm like, yeah, but we get all of our work done and it's nice. So like
We
what do you want,
actually
you
get
know?
more done with less people in less time.
We're also like we had remote workers, me, way before people were doing it in 2014. So it worked out.
So true. And my lesson that kind of goes along the lines of get uncomfortable is brought to you by Dr. Seuss. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So that's just a lesson that I've had to learn over time where, once you kind of find who you are and who your people are, and you really can flourish and you can grow. And it's hard getting to that point because you spend a lot of time worrying about what others think and that sort of thing. But it's really amazing when you get to a place where you're like, yeah, I love me for who I am. And others do too.
So these lessons are all about learning to trust yourself and dive in even when it's hard or awkward, because sometimes it's awkward and sometimes your tummy hurts a little bit. But that's where all the magic happens. We all agree that doing something uncomfortable is not, it's not bad. And it's not even all out of our culture. But what brings us to lesson number 2 is one of the real magics of MayeCreate is trust your team. You don't have to do it alone. And like, just a reminder, like I did not write these lessons. The team contributed these lessons. And this particular lesson really like hit home for me because it took me back to 2008, Monica, transitioning from being a designer slash salesperson to having to figure out how to manage employees. So I enrolled myself in a management class that I stayed in for years. And before I was allowed to join the group activities, I had to write down, I trust my team 10 times. Yeah. someone was a control freak. I don't know who she is, but it was someone that was in the room and having to write it down on repeat. Because my trainer was trying to teach me that to run a successful business, you don't have to do it alone. And in fact, you probably shouldn't. And I definitely feel like that shines through still in our culture today.
I am definitely a chronic doer of everything myself. And so MayeCreate has really helped to teach me this big lesson, which is you don't have to do everything yourself. You don't have to know how to do everything. And even if you know how, you still don't have to be the one to do it. Lean on your team and trust them in their areas of expertise. And this has been a hard fought lesson for me over years and years before I ever came to MayeCreate. And actually being on this team of competent, smart, trustworthy people is what has taught me this lesson in reality. And now kind of taking that into my personal life where surround yourself with people that you can trust and rely on has made such a huge difference. And I love the team we have here at MayeCreate for that.
Kara, you have a really good way that you described the team like a few years ago. And Kara comes from an education background. How did you say it, Kara?
So it was such a weird introduction to like the business world because we're so unique in the sense that everybody has their own job. I mean, there's a designer, there's an account service person, there's someone who's running security, and I wouldn't know how to do any of these people's jobs. I'm, front office manager, give me an invoice and I'll tell you what to do with it. But it was really cool because even though we all have these separate jobs, it created, well, I said everyone's like the arms and legs, but we can't function without all being together. And it just creates this moving, flowing body that just works together. And so everyone's got like their own appendages, but we're all connected somehow. And then you're able to just function as one team, one, body moving together. It was just really cool to see that because coming from education, we're all doing pretty much the same job, essentially. You've got a building full of teachers. So yeah, that was really neat to see how people come together.
So we're like an octopus, and Stacy can be our head, and the rest of us can just be a tentacle.
Exactly.
Harry, you say that about you couldn't do anyone else, you couldn't do the other jobs. Money gives me heartburn. So like the fact that I A, don't know how to do billing and you take care of it, and B, you take care of it and I don't have to look at it. Amazing. That's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But no one ever, I will say, even though everyone kind of has their own functioning appendage, no one is ever like, well, that's not what I do. That's one thing that's really cool. Because you would be willing to do it if you had to do it.
Oh yeah, I would be.
Yeah.
It would give me heartburn and I wouldn't be super pleasant to be around, but I'd do it.
Brittany,
Yeah. So going along those lines, I feel like, I don't know, the lesson I've learned is that the greatest team can accomplish all things. And so essentially, like, we're working in sync together, not against us. And that just makes everything go a million miles further than what it could if we were working against each other. And MayeCreate has the best team.
Yes. Kind of wrapping all that up in like one sentence, the lesson that I've really learned as a chronically independent person, which many of the people on this team are, we get things done by ourselves in our home life, like we rely on ourselves. But as we all learned by coming together, a good team will take you farther than you will ever dream, both in life and in like the workspace. And I mean, I listen to other people from other companies talk about their coworkers, and they leave their coworkers at the door of the office and they never speak to them. But I mean, I don't like saying it because it can be very toxic to say my job is my family, but that is true for MayeCreate. That's not fluffy language. MayeCreate's family. Period.
so we have our hearts, our hand hearts.
We love you.
We all have to hold up our different kind of hearts.
Yes.
And this is how you know where we
And
were
hearts.
20 years ago.
Or if you listen to K-pop.
We got the finger heart, the hand
The
heart,
thumb. I don't ever. Yeah, the
thumb
Rebecca and I are
heart.
Rebecca and I are in a constant state of sending each other memes. So
So we're not about doing it all. We're about doing it together, which is awesome. But we also have this thing, like a sickness, about how we need to work efficiently and effectively. Like for real. It's like we all came down with the same flu, and it's called working smarter, not harder. um, so um we need to have so number three, our number three takeaway is that preparation and process matter, and that ours is not, it's not immovable. It doesn't stay stagnant. Like we're not afraid to change it if it's not working, even if it's been ours for a really long time. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest life lessons that I've had to learn are the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And growing up, I was like really irresponsible, unorganized all the time, forgetting like my cleats to practice or my viola to viola lessons. And my dad would always get really angry at me and Claire, do you remember your 5 Ps? And so I think when you're properly prepared, you're more likely to succeed, you avoid mistakes, stress, and overall like subpar results. So always remember your 5 Ps.
I had never heard that before, but I really needed that to be written on my wall in many places. It's a hard pot lesson I've had as well. Um, for me, I think we focus a lot on efficiency, but a lot of people fail to look at the very beginning of the process when we're talking about efficiency, thinking about how can we make ourselves more efficient and better at something when we don't think about planning. And my big lesson that I've learned really here at MayeCreate and in general is that process does matter, but a bigger thing is starting early and planning ahead. So anything can be accomplished with a well-documented plan and consistent team communication. So taking those few minutes to look ahead and document the plan, think through potential obstacles, it saves so much time and confusion, and our team is so much more often able to succeed more quickly because we started with a really good, effective plan.
That then we can edit as it goes along, because sometimes it's unexpected and it's okay. So for me, my preparation and process is a little bit about bailing early, like fail fast and fail forward. You don't have to polish a turd. You can just save as and move on from it. So like I can have a great plan and I draw out all my sketches for a design and I know just what I'm doing. I got a color palette. I know my fonts. I'm like, woo, 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 I'm going to make something great. And then I get in there and I'm like, this is so ugly and I can't make it good. And when I started my design career, I had an art director that I was like, what do you think I can do with this? And she was like, you can't save it. You're polishing a turd. Just start over. That was great. Great words of advice.
So for me, preparation and process is super interesting because when I started at MayeCreate, my predecessor was incredibly intelligent and she could remember all the things and keep track of it all in her head. And I had exactly zero experience with web design or business because I was a teacher, like so many of us were. And so I learned very, very quickly that spreadsheets are awesome. And I learned how to write all kinds of formulas so that I could keep track of all of the things and know who had been billed and who hadn't been billed and how our business goals needed to align and how this number factored into that number. So spreadsheets are awesome. They can help you really manage a company.
So usually around here, when things go sideways, it's because either a plan didn't exist, it didn't get followed, or there was just something that we couldn't expect that just smashed us in the face that day, because that happens, right? And those are all things that we take forward with us. um, but even with the best plans, you still need to be smart about how you execute them. So Stacey's spreadsheets helped us so much in the beginning, but even as we outgrew those spreadsheets, we had to find new ways to still get our work done efficiently, which leads us to something that we've all had to learn sometimes the hard way, which is work smarter, not harder. And we swung into this idea first when we bought out our former business partners and started with $0 in the bank in 2016. We were like, how can we do this? Like, how can we meet payroll? And hey, like, spoiler alert, we did. We made payroll that first month. But then we ratcheted it up in full force in 2023 when we transitioned to a 4-day work week. And Kara, I know that in your role, you do so many like little processes all the time. So
Yeah, I feel like it was such a novel idea that it shouldn't take me 2 hours to do something. And I hesitated at first when it would take me a long time because I thought I was just learning, and some of that was a learning curve. But when I'd mention it to Stacy, she's like, "No, no, 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 no. It should not take you 2 hours. There's got to be a better way. Let me look into it, or, there's an extension for that, or and there was just always this amazing solution. And now that's one of the first things I do when something is just taking forever and is a really slow process or doesn't seem efficient or doesn't give us the information we were seeking. It's always, how can I make it better? And so the constant evolving of the processes and working smarter and more efficiently, that is something that I am so grateful that our company is so good at and quick to do.
someone knows a short code. Someone knows it.
Tyler doesn't even use a mouse. He just keyboards everything.
There were times when I first started, because I've always been a short code fiend, where Monica would walk in while I was working in Illustrator and she goes, "What'd you just do?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You just used like 5 tools." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You didn't touch a toolbar. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know. I like them."
Someday you will fully train me on Illustrator someday.
I was just gonna say, I love how everybody has that mindset of like, there is a better way. And it's always easy to reach out to somebody else and just say, hey, how would you do this? Or do you have any ideas? Like everybody's this wonderful idea factory for coming up with amazing creative solutions. And I love that.
I am definitely always like, oh, did you know you could do that with a keyboard shortcut? Poor Brittany has to hear me say that all day. I'm so annoying about it. But I love our focus on working smarter and being efficient and finding a better way. But I do think it's important, and this is something I've heard Monica and Stacy talk a lot about over the 20 years where MayeCreate has grown, where we've had to decide not to pursue certain types of business, not to do certain types of tasks, realizing what we are really good at, web design, building websites. And so my big lesson, and this is a life lesson as well as here at MayeCreate, is that not everything is deserving of your time, energy, or attention. So it is okay to say no. And it is okay to evaluate the merit of that idea and say, this idea is going to take me 100 hours of work. And actually, I'm going to get basically no payoff out of it. I don't have the spoons for that. And so that's been a big lesson. And I think it's something that we do really well. We evaluate something and determine, is this actually going to have the impact we want it to before we proceed and just do a bunch of work. So that's that planning step too, thinking in advance and realizing if it makes sense for us.
And that kind of rolls really nicely into our like fifth takeaway or lesson learned. I mean, like, because through the course of MayeCreate, like at the very beginning, I'm like, I will wear my nose ring. And if you don't like it, you can just not hire me. And then at one point, I was like, I will have purple hair. And if you don't like it, once again, you can just not hire me. And then one day we looked at each other and we're like, why are we all dressing up to work? This is stupid. We're going to wear t-shirts. This is like, we're moving on from like suits. So, and
I want to point out, when I first started, it was like, you need to have a button-down shirt and probably jeans. Jeans are okay, and that's cool. All right, cool. I bought like 2 button-down shirts, and I was like, I don't really wear button-down shirts. I just progressively started wearing t-shirts, and no one said anything. And eventually, it just became a thing. Like, we didn't worry about it.
maybe you're
So,
responsible for that
Thank
transition.
you, Tyler.
you're welcome.
And then Monica and I got rid of all of our dress pants to the point that I don't think either one of us owns a single pair of dress pants in our entire closet at this
No,
time.
my husband said, honey, if you need a suit and that something that important is happening in your life, then you deserve a new one. Just take all these from like 2000 to the Goodwill and walk away from them.
I do
Problem solved.
remember, I think late in my internship, you were hiring someone and you were giving them the rundown of the dress code. And this is about the time where you guys started transitioning. I think probably 11, 12 years into the business. And I look down at myself and I'm breaking 8 different ones that you listed off. And I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
I mean, but your boobs and your belly button and your butt were covered, Rebecca.
Yeah, we were appropriate, but also I had holes in my jeans up to my tops of my thighs. So it's fine.
As a matter of fashion. So be honest and be you. And if you even read our website, you're going to see that. Like I remember when we changed our marketing message, I read it one day and I was like, ew, who are these people? And then I told Stacy that we were going to incorporate all these funny things that we say around the office into our marketing. And she's like, I don't know if I can handle this. And she's like,
I don't
the
know.
color
I'm
had
not
drained
sure.
from her face. She's like, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, well, if it doesn't hurt your tummy a little bit, we're probably not doing it right.
Monica and I are like, here's a layout with a giant pile of poop on it. What do you think? And she's
It
like,
was
I
an
don't know about this. And we're
emoji.
like, it'll be great. Don't worry about it.
It was a poop emoji. It was an actual poop.
Well, yeah, it was an icon, but still.
Well, MayeCreate's really good at being ourselves and being honest. And like you said, you can see that in the website. And when I went to the website to see what I was applying for a job, I was like, oh my gosh, these people are awesome. And I think that's really great.
I think for me, it took me a very long time to figure out who I was and to be okay with it because I grew up in a time where I mean like it was before this like little bit like edgy women doing what they want kind of thing that goes on now. And so I thought that I was supposed to be this like sweet, loving, like motherly person, like just really like soft spoken and all these things. And well, you've heard me on this podcast. I'm not that. And I was never meant to be that, but that's what like society, don't listen to them, taught me was that I needed to try to be somebody that I wasn't. So one of my life lessons is don't try to be someone that you aren't. The sooner you accept yourself, the happier you'll be.
Yeah, and I think accepting yourself is really important when it comes to like design decisions as well. Because I think imposter syndrome is loud, but good design is way louder. Um, when I first started, Monica and Stacy will remember this. I was here until 8 o'clock one night building my first pages, and I just kept deleting my work over and over again. And so they pulled me into a meeting and they're like, "Are you okay? Like, why were you here so late?" And I'm like, "I just hate everything that I'm doing." But I've like slowly had to learn to trust your gut. Um, you make good design and your work is good. So that's my biggest MayeCreate lesson.
It's because you do make great design, and we're really proud of everything that you make that we get to put our name at the bottom of.
They're beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Something that I recently read, Claire, that could be helpful with imposter syndrome. Just remember that everyone else also has it, and you deserve a stake in the scam.
I will remember that, Rebecca.
I think one of the really cool things about our team is that we embrace this thing that we're all humans and we make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes as long as you own up to your mistake and you fix it. And so, making mistakes, even when it's like a client facing mistake, can earn you trust in a way that nothing else can. And so, if you mess it up, how you handle that is really, really important. So, always owning up to your mistakes and creating trust that you can't earn in any other way.
And that's a really hard thing to teach people, especially when they come from a different background and start working for us. Like it's hard to teach like, hey, it's fine. Like, I know you didn't intentionally mess this up. It happens. Um, and like Stacy said, the tr with trust, even with clients, I've gotten on meetings where like genuinely I messed up. I forgot a checkbox, sort of thing, and threw a couple things off. And you get on a meeting and I'm like, hey man, I fixed it. Here's what happened. My bad. And that 9 times out of 10, as long as they're not awful, which like we don't really work with awful people if we can help it. So 9 times out of 10, they're like, all right, it happens. We'll fix it. Sucks, but we're here. We fixed it. We're good. And that's the end of it. So
I
Agreed. Agreed. Because confidence isn't pretending that you know everything. It's like showing up and learning as you go. And I actually love that now in my role as part of the team because they'll be like, well, do you know when my first payment is due? And I'm like, I'm gonna have to talk to Kara about that. And then they'll be like, well, when is this other thing due? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to talk to Caitlin about that. They're like, well, can I do this with my program? I'm like, Tyler, like,
it's
I'm
like,
just, I make things pretty and purposeful.
yeah, that's like half of the like ending of the roughs meetings is, all right, well, when is this thing due? And I go, you'll get a follow-up email from your project manager.
But
That will have your date on it.
so that brings us to our last and maybe the most important lesson that we've learned along the way is that we need to celebrate our people and have fun along the way in this journey.
So I once heard that when you think about some of your favorite people that you miss the most, whether it's somebody who's passed or maybe somebody who's just their path and your path have just gone a different way or whatever that might be, while staying true to yourself, work hard to exhibit the reasons that you love them and your favorite qualities about them while staying true to who you are. But just, I don't know, think about the reasons that you love people and focus on those qualities.
So when one of my Rotary members passed away, his name was Jim. And when I started in the group, I was young, like I hadn't even had kids yet. So like mid to late 20s. And he like took me under his wing and he would sit me next to him and he would listen to my marketing stories. And he was a marketer like of another generation. And so when he passed away, I had this post-it note that I put on my monitor for the longest time that was like, I will see people like Jim. I will listen to people like Jim and I will smile like Jim. And it was like on my monitor because I was like, I want to embody this human being that like was so kind to such a young human and not in a weird way, but like in a really cool mentoring kind of way. So that's a great one.
There's a guy that Chrissy and I started lifting with before we got into powerlifting, who got us into powerlifting. He taught a strongman class at the community center. And I always say he's such a great dude that he makes you want to be a better person. Like those kind of people are really important. Um, but that's not even segueing into my own lesson, but my my own lesson for this one is something that I always try to remember is we make art for a living and not many people get to say that. So like it's hard to be upset or not have fun when you make pretty pictures for a living. Like legitimately, that's just something that I always try to remember. And I used to say this whenever I started to MayeCreate, but like I try not to get too stressed out about anything, only because like when I started, my wife was a nurse. She still is a nurse, but she's more in nurse IT now. But that anyway, she was a nurse and I was like, if she messes up, like someone dies. And if I mess up, the absolute worst case scenario is I have to rebuild an entire website, which,
Yeah.
yeah, that sucks. But at the same time, like, I make pretty pictures for a living. Like, it'll be okay. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we're lucky.
That sentiment has definitely helped me when I'm feeling stressed by a project, like remembering that this is not life or death and we're all here for each other and it's not life or death. It's a website and we're here to have fun and our clients are also just people too. And that like you teaching me that lesson has helped a lot here, Tyler.
And we
Same.
actually made a decision a long time ago that we weren't going to take on clients where they had a life or death website because that's not one of our values. And it just wouldn't fit in because they would ask questions like, well, who am I going to call at 2 o'clock in the morning if I need somebody? And I'm like,
Not
yeah, we're not going to, sorry. I guess
Not us.
we can't really be friends if that's when you think you're going to be calling me because My phone's on silent mode. It's on do not disturb, brother.
And then a lesson that kind of goes along with us kind of celebrating people and having fun along the way that I've learned is that I learn something new each day with this group of people. I mean, we say that a lot as former educators. Obviously, we have a love of learning, and that's normal for teachers. But like we literally have a group of people who are always ready to learn new ways of doing things. And I think that's so amazing. And everyone has an open mind about learning a new way to do something. And that's so important for growth and understanding.
But it makes our jobs fun too, because things are continually changing. There's a lot of places where you work and it basically stays the same. Like you might have a weekly special, but that's the only different piece of your day. And I think that since all of us love a challenge, it makes a lot of sense that while it's inconvenient when Google keeps changing things, let's not be, I am not saying that it's not inconvenient, but we embrace the challenge, and that's what makes our jobs interesting. And there are a lot of things over the years that we've stopped doing because we stopped finding joy in them. And it was always a very methodical decision it made our tummies hurt when we did it, but we discontinued services. We stopped taking on certain clients. We fired employees and clients too, because we believe that work shouldn't suck. And we even rewrote our motto or our mission. I don't know if we call it our mission or our motto. What do we call it, Stacy?
Our why?
Our why. That's what it is. It's not either one of those M words.
Our motto is "Don't be dumb."
Yeah, our motto is "Don't be dumb."
DBD.
And our why is to make awesome stuff for awesome people and find joy in it. So there you have it. 20 years of lessons learned from the MayeCreate team. So get uncomfortable, trust your team, plan ahead, work smart, be yourself, and have fun doing it. And these aren't just business lessons, as you heard from so many people. A lot of them are life lessons and things that they like wrap their core values around and like the core of their being. So, and obviously there's still lessons that we're working on every day. None of us are perfect humans, and we're always working to be better. And speaking of learning, our next episode is us tackling something that frustrates website owners everywhere, which is why is my WordPress site so slow and tricks to fix it. So we are going to have Rebecca and Tyler and Claire and myself come together and make you the laundry list of things that we do to troubleshoot a site when it's turtling. We call it turtling. It makes perfect sense in my head. Hopefully it does in yours too. So if your website, go ahead.
I've never heard that term. We need to use that more.
It's turtling. Yeah. So if your website takes forever to load, or you're tired of watching potential customers bounce while they wait, then you won't want to miss this because we're going to explain it to you. Okay, so thank you for hanging out with us. Everybody say bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for celebrating our 20th birthday with us with this fun, semi-scripted, but not really scripted episode. Now go forth and market with purpose.